Greetings viewers, welcome back to Cobblemon. In today's video, I want to work on getting my armor fully enchanted. That's gonna mean doing lots of villager trading, and to do that, I'm gonna need a place to trade. So today, I'll be building a library to store all of my librarian villagers so that they can get to work and sell me enchanted books for my armor. I might also see if I can accomplish a few other surprises that you might see later in the video. So be sure to watch the whole video to find out what happens. Let's get started. In last episode, we actually tamed 2 new dog pets. So I'm going to need some names for these little guys. So leave a comment down below with any name ideas you have for these guys. I also need names for my Pokemon that I capture in this series. And I actually got a name for our horse friend here. And eventually I will get a name tag. But in the meantime, our horse's name is now Titan. So it is great to have you along, Titan. Something I did manage to get a hold of in the last video was some horse armor. So let's actually equip this to Titan. And now, Titan is a beautiful, golden, shiny horse. Anyhow, I'm gonna gather a bunch of materials and figure out where this building is going to go. For this build, something that I need a lot of is concrete powder. So I'm gonna go back to a desert that I found to get just tons and tons of sand. I also found out something pretty cool about the mod that I have installed. As you can see, I have a mini map in the top right of my screen, but if I hit a certain key, it actually turns it into a much bigger map. And if I zoom out here a bit, you can actually see my entire world and everywhere that I've traveled. And I haven't traveled super far, but it's really great for being able to find certain things. So looking here at this map, I can see that if I go south, there's a pretty close desert. Well, I guess that's a beach with lots of sand, but I don't think I want to destroy that. So I think I'm gonna head back up north to this desert up here. Yeah, as you can see, there's lots of desert. And I can just get plenty of sand from here. It's like we found a village just right here too. Here we go. I was looking for one of these before. This is apparently the Pokemon Center for desert villages and what they look like. I'm gonna head inside here. They've got the bed, they've got the healing machine, they've got the nurse. Looks like this nurse takes some medicinal leeks and also sells energy roots. That's cool. Looks like there's a chest over here with some bread, which I will take, and orange berries, XP candies. There's a black apricorn sprout, which is really cool. A remedy, which can restore hit points, and an antidote, which can cure poison. There's also a paralyze heal, which can cure paralysis. I'm not going to take all of these because I don't need all of them at the moment. We come up here. Looks like there's another chest, more stuff in it. I actually think I need pink apricorns, so that was a good find. Also got some more bread and some more healing items. This is interesting with the terracotta and the blue wool on top. There's another bed. And then this just kind of transitions into the outdoors here, which is really nice. Looks like this goes on top of the building, which looks really nice. Go down, we'll close the trap door. This goes outside to the deck, and this goes to the other deck. Oh look, there's a camel too, that's cool. So that is the Pokemon Center in Desert Villages. Oh look, Klefki, oh my gosh, that's so weird to see in Minecraft. Klefki's a Pokemon that's just floating keys. I'll actually scan it really quick. That's adorable. And then there's Vivillon? Yeah, Vivillon? Something like that. I don't know if I've ever been able to pronounce it right, but... Oh, here we go. That is a Voltorb. Looks like it's pretty tame. In Pokemon games, Voltorb would always explode when you get close, so glad it doesn't do that here. That'd be another annoying creeper thing to deal with. Or a creeper-like thing to deal with. Well, I don't know if this is going to be super interesting, but I'll try doing a time lapse of me just collecting a bunch of sand. Okay, ended up with 5 and some stacks, so pretty happy with that. Now we just need to find a bunch of gravel somewhere. Look at this adorable little Psyduck. Got a headache, buddy? I know the feeling. These Pokemon are actually very useful. Let me show you why really quick. In Minecraft, you can use shears to get wool from sheep. Well, in Cobblemon, there are sheep-like Pokemon called Dubwool and Wooloo, which I think I saw Wooloo over here somewhere. But we can actually shear them to get wool as well. And as you can see, he gets a lot smaller when you shear him. Actually looks kind of neat that way too. Never seen this before. But he gave 2 wool for that, which was awesome. So let me see if I can find any more. Yep, here we go, some Wooloo. There you go. So if you ever have trouble finding sheep, you could actually just start a big farm of Wooloo and Dubwool, because you can catch them in Pokeballs, and then you can just farm them like you would sheep. This is perfect. I found a whole bunch of gravel just right at the beginning of my mine. Forgot about all this. It's a little annoying that I occasionally get flint instead of the gravel blocks, but it's just what I got to do. So, to make concrete, or rather concrete powder, you need 4 sand, 4 gravel, and then some sort of dye. For what I have planned, I actually want a lot of white concrete. So I'm going to need to find a flower that gives me some white dye. I believe I have a decent amount of bones somewhere. Yep. And I believe if we crush bones into bone meal, we can then turn bone meal into white dye. So there we go. We should have plenty of white dye to make the concrete powder. So that is excellent. Hello, little Eevee. Ah, that's a female Eevee. Adorable. Ooh, there's also a bird over here. Pidgeotto. That sounds very Italian. Alright, so one of the great and terrible things about working with concrete is that it starts as concrete powder, and then you have to get it wet, and that turns it into concrete. There's concrete powder, and that is now concrete. So here's concrete powder next to concrete. Concrete is a very smooth block, very flat, very minimal texture. And concrete powder almost looks like wool. I'm pretty sure the texture though is just the sand texture that has color. Concrete powder also has the same properties as sand. So if you have concrete powder on top of another block and you break that block of concrete powder will fall. Now what I wish was possible is that you could just dump a bunch of concrete powder from your inventory into some water, and then it would just turn into concrete blocks. However, that's not really how it works. So I'm gonna have to place and mine all this concrete powder. I'll let you know when I accomplish that. Okay, so we have almost 2 stacks of wet concrete. I am going to need more. Well, I'm glad I live by a river because there is lots of gravel in the river. Let's see how much this will make me. Okay, that'll be 2 more stacks. Okay, so something very important to figure out is where this build is going to go. I've already got a bunch of interesting things set up here. There's this big building for my villager breeder. I've also got my little house base right here along the water. I could also move all of these trees because this is just where I've been planting my trees to mine them down. And I'm thinking this spot right here is where I want to build my library. I want quick access to it from my house, and it'll be easy to move villagers just right next door into the library. So let's tear down these trees, terraform a little bit, and we will get right into building. And here we are, my new library. I wanted to play around with the style a bit. I really like this plain white concrete with these spruce logs. I think it looks pretty nice, pretty clean. I like having the tough bricks at the bottom and then go into concrete, go in between the spruce logs, more concrete, spruce logs. I like how the spruce logs look like they're supporting things, kind of architecturally, but also giving some really interesting shapes to the build. So I'm really happy with this. The build is a little plain on the sides, I'll admit, but I am hoping to add a lot more buildings, so I didn't want the sides or the back to stick out too much. If we come around to the back, there's just some really big windows and nothing interesting going on here at the bottom. I'll probably decorate with lots of bushes and barrels and probably even trees down the road. However, now that we are finally done building this massive building, we can start moving in a couple of villagers. So let's do that and start working on some trades. That worked a lot better than I thought it would. Sweet. Now it's time for my least favorite part. I didn't set up any sort of railway minecart system to put these guys in here. I'm just gonna assume that I can squish them in with the boat and let them out. So let's give it a shot. Hello, Editor Dragon here. I did want to interject just for a second to explain that I do end up using rails and minecarts, and that's why I go and check out my iron farm. Also, if you guys are enjoying this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I am working really hard to try and get these videos out every week. And my biggest hope is that these videos find an audience that enjoys watching them. So if you're sitting through this video and you've gotten to this part, please consider subscribing. It's free, won't cost you anything. You can always unsubscribe in the future if you want to, but I don't think you will. I think you'll want to stay because I've got some more great content coming shortly. Anyway, thank you for watching and back to the video. Oh boy. This is my first time checking my iron farm for a couple of hours, and we now have stacks and stacks of iron. This is excellent. That means this farm is now working great with no issues because I haven't like checked on it at all. It's been running while I've been building and mining and everything, so it's working great. I'm so happy with this, and I'm gonna need a couple of stacks of iron. I've decided I'm gonna try and do minecarts and rails because that's the easiest way to do this. Okay, we managed to get 2 of them in here, so now we can start doing some trades. There we go, that's a good trade. Okay, that there is another really good trade. So to be able to use my librarians efficiently, I'm going to need a Fletcher to get a lot of emeralds from by trading them sticks, which I can get very easily just by chopping down some trees. To do that, I'm going to need to build a little hut for a Fletcher to live in so that I can just quickly trade with them. It's not going to be nearly as big as what the librarians got, because there's a lot of different librarians that I need. I only need a handful of Fletchers, so let's just build them a little hut near the trees. Now we've got some Fletchers. As you can see, they've both got some stick trades that will give me emeralds. So all I have to do is get a bunch of sticks. Now that we have some emeralds, let's go lock in that trade. Looks like his trade has changed, which is unfortunate, but we'll just keep going until we get something good. Now that I've got some emeralds to use for trading to lock in his trade. I believe what happens is if you don't lock in a trade before the night is over, they might restock the next day and get something different. So when you are doing villager trades, it's smart to have the emeralds you need on hand as soon as you get the trade that you want. That way you can lock it in as soon as you get it. There we go, that's a good trade, but I don't have paper and I don't have 38 emeralds, so I really hope he doesn't switch his trades until I can chop down a few more trees. Alright, he's still got mending, so let's lock in the trade. 38 emeralds, kind of a lot, but mending is a very, very good book, so very happy with that. And now we've got 2 of the best books in the game, Silk Touch and Mending. It'll probably take some time, but I will eventually fill in the rest of these. I don't know if I'll fill the second story with them yet, but as you can probably see, this library doesn't seem like much of a library at the moment. Eventually, we're going to get tons of bookshelves from our librarians to decorate this place. That's super cool. There's an Elekid here. This thing is a super rare spawn, so it's cool to know that they spawn around here. And cool to know that it is now raining. This is actually good because I would like to do some fishing and some battling because I have something to show you as soon as Shark is able to evolve. Let's actually see if we can combine these 3 fishing rods. Doesn't seem like we can combine them as fishing rods, but we can just grab one of these smithing templates that we got. Let's also pick a different type of Pokeball. I'm gonna go with a Premier Ball. Let's craft a new fishing rod. Fishing rod, smithing template, Premier Ball. Alright, so now that I have 2 Pokerods, I want to see if we're able to combine them. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Good to know. Good to know. So we'll go ahead and store that guy. Pull out our new Pokerod, and we might as well try doing some bait. So let's see. Interesting. So we can use different types of berries as bait, and holding shift we can see what they do. If we hold a cherry berry, this increases the chance of the Pokemon we fish up to be either in the fairy egg group or the grass egg group. Egg groups are what determine which Pokemon can breed together. You can actually breed Pokemon from different species together. However, you will only get a child of whichever Pokemon is the mother of the group, unless you're breeding with Ditto. So when they mean fairy egg group, that means Pokemon that exist in a category called fairy. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're all fairy types either, but just that they're in that egg group and that they can breed together. That's what that means. So it's interesting that a cherry berry gives you a higher chance for egg groups, while a Waypear berry only does special defense nature attraction, which is pretty cool, and orange berries just reduce the bite time. And I actually would love that right now, so that's what we're gonna do. There's a Psyduck in my boat. That's okay. Yep, so I right-clicked and I was able to put 11 orange berries on this, so I won't have to constantly be putting more and more orange berries on, which will be nice. I'm also gonna sleep because I don't want to be fishing at night, just because I don't like dealing with mobs. I love that there's a rainbow in the sky after sleeping off the rain. This rod looks really cool. Whoa! Okay, looks like we are facing a Poliwhirl. This thing's gonna be kind of tough. It is barely holding on. Finish this with an Absorb. Alright, I want to make sure that Magikarp is the one that gets experience. It's gonna be a problem if I have to sleep every time I need to heal my Pokemon, so I think this is also a good chance to craft our own healing station. So we look in our recipe book, we can see that there is a healing machine, and it looks like it needs quite a few rare components. In fact, I don't even think I can get these in this episode because it requires a Ghast tier, which is unfortunate. However, we did just get a Silk Touch book for trade. So let's see if we can go Silk Touch one of the healing machines at a village that we've been to already. I really hope this works. Come through here, circle around. It did not work, even with Silk Touch. And now she's gone. Okay, well, I guess what I'll do instead is grab all of the healing items in here. They will actually be very useful. Well, unfortunately, Silk Touch didn't even work on a healing machine. So we'll have to try and get that in a future episode when we go to the Nether. But for now, let's rest up for the night and continue our fishing tomorrow. Because I'm really excited to show you what Magikarp can do when it evolves. You heard that ping? you know what that means. Shark is ready to evolve. So I'm just gonna click on him and make sure he is sent out. Our little girl shark is about to evolve into a mighty Gyarados. Yay! Ho! Gyarados is an incredible Pokemon. It's very strong and very big, which is really cool. Let's take a look at our Gyarados. It's a water flying type with a serious nature and the ability Intimidate, which is an excellent ability. It will lower the opposing Pokemon's attack when it enters battle, which is super cool. Looking at your moves, you don't have much, but we can always relearn moves, and you've got some pretty nice ones you can relearn here, so I'm gonna take a couple of these, make sure you are well-rounded. There we go. Ice Fang, Bite, Brine, and Dragon Rage. Those are gonna be super strong moves. And looking at your stats, your IVs are kind of split both ways, offensively and defensively, which is fine. And it looks like you've gained some attack, defense, and speed IVs. Not bad. For those of you with a good eye, you might notice an icon just underneath Shark's sprite. This is an iconograph of a Pokemon called Cyclizar. Cyclizar is a newer Pokemon that is basically like a motorcycle, but it's a lizard. It's kind of a cool design, but the idea being that you ride on top of it. And if you understand what that means we can ride our Gyarados. All right, Shark. Let's hop on. Oh my gosh. Look at this. I'm just cruising on our friend here. You can see his health bar at the bottom. He's got a lot of hearts. He's also got a charge gauge at the bottom, and that gauge is actually for sprinting. Mounting Pokemon isn't the same as horses. Horses have a set speed and jump height potential when they spawn for the first time, but Pokemon move around more like the player. So if we want to go faster, I can just hold my sprint key and we'll go about as fast as a player can run, which is really cool. However, we did run out of our sprint gauge, so we're going to need to let Gyarados recharge that gauge over time. You can also jump up and down with your Pokemon. And it's about the same jump height as a player, so again, I do feel like when it comes to regular mounts, horses will be better than riding Pokemon around because horses can be faster and jump higher, except for Pokemon that can fly. Now, unfortunately, as we slither onto land here, even though Gyarados is a flying type, Gyarados cannot fly. Shocking, I know. It was canon in Pokemon Legends Arceus. You could totally see a flying Gyarados in the sky, but you don't really see it anywhere else. So in Cobblemon, Gyarados can't fly. However, in the future, perhaps we'll catch a flying type that will let us soar in the skies. For now, let's dismount our Gyarados and just appreciate Shark's newfound beauty and power. I expect great things from you, my girl. Now get back and have a good rest. It is now time for this episode's Capture Quest. For today's Capture Quest, we will be going after Pidgeot. Now, Pidgeot or Pidgeot or however you like to say it, it's actually a pretty common Pokemon. It's basically just a really big bird, which I'm actually super excited about because we could really use a flying Pokemon. I know Shark has evolved into a water and flying type, but that doesn't really count. So it will be great to get an actual flying Pokemon, and I'll show you a really cool reason why as soon as we catch it. Now, as usual, Pidgeot is a second stage evolution, which means that we could have the option of catching a Pidgey or a Pidgeotto. So we'll see what we come across, but I'm actually gonna see if I can find a Pidgeot just out in the wild. So let's get exploring. Let's see, I do want some pretty good Pokeballs. We'll grab a Quick Ball, and what else do I have? I think some Ultra Balls would be the best if I have them somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Glitchy chest. Let's actually look at our Pokeball recipe here. Ultra Balls have a 2x catch rate. Fastball on Pokemon with 100 or more base speed, which I believe Pidgeot actually has 100 base speed. Well, I do think our best bet is more Ultra Balls. So I'm gonna get some more of these apricorns just from my orchard, and we'll work on crafting just a whole bunch. Okay, well, all we need to do now is have a look around. Actually, there's a little Pidgey right here already, but I want to see if I can find something bigger. I know that its evolutions do spawn. We've already seen them, in fact. Alright, if we look at our map here, we can actually see there is a Pidgeotto right by our cherry trees. Let's go see what level that one is. Alright, here's a Pidgeotto. Female, level 22. That is a good find, but with how common these are, I would love to find the actual Pidgeot this time. Hello, Wandering Trader. You don't really have anything that I'm interested in at the moment. Alright, here is a Pidgeotto. Took a while to find even just a couple of these, so I am going to catch this one. I also was making sure to level up for this fight. I do want to try throwing a Quick Ball first thing. That's gonna have the best chance right away. Yes! There we go! We got ourselves a Pidgeotto. Now, there is something very cool I want to show you guys along with catching this Pokemon. So, I'm gonna do some grinding to get some levels, and I'll come back to you guys after Pidgeotto is ready to evolve. For those of you who haven't seen the previous episodes, this is a tower. I think it's called a ruined tower. And actually, I think that's suspicious sand or suspicious gravel. Interesting. I'll need to come back here with a brush at some point. But if we go all the way up, and these are my dirt blocks, so I have been here already. But I wanted to double check and make sure I've explored this place thoroughly, because they can have pretty decent items. And as we make it to the top, we can see there's a chest. And I'm almost certain that that is a Gimmighoul chest. But I think it's worth looking anyway. Yes, it is a Gimmighoul, and I think I want to leave it here for now. That way we can always come back to get it. However, I do believe I want to come back with a brush. Let's see, to make a brush, you need some copper and some feathers and a stick, I believe. So if we come here, yep, it's just one of each. So I can make one brush. I'm gonna make three brushes, I mean. Alright, now that we're here, go ahead and grab a brush. And yeah, this is suspicious gravel. And if we look, I believe we just got some copper. Looks like this is a relic coin. That is actually a shiny stone, which is used to evolve certain Pokemon. That's a cool find. It's like more copper. That one is a pottery sherd. And this mod has custom pottery sherds, so they are different from the ones in default Minecraft. So I'm actually really excited to see all the different ones there are. Now it looks like... Is that also Suspicious Gravel? Yes, it is. That is cool. I think if we dig just a little bit, we might find some more. Alright, looks like that was all there was. However, that's still really cool to find just a bunch of custom stuff. So I need to make sure I keep a brush on me whenever I explore any sort of ruins or anything, because there could be some very cool things to be found. Okay, we're now back at these ruins, and I have a feeling there is more suspicious stuff to be had. Oh yeah, here we go. It's really kind of subtle, but you can kind of tell that there is a difference between the regular texture of gravel and the texture of suspicious gravel. Looks like we got ourselves a rock gem. That's kind of cool. There's another suspicious gravel here. Awesome, another pottery sherd. Looks like this one's another gem. Now we have a different type of pottery sherd. That's really exciting. Let's see, what is this? How interesting. So we just found what's called a tumblestone, and tumblestones can be used to craft Pokeballs. They are different types of Pokeballs, and they can also be used to create a whole new set of blocks. And there's 3 different types of tumblestones, so that's actually really cool to find. It's going to be hard to collect them all just from suspicious sand, but I'm pretty sure we can find tumblestone underground and be able to mine it. Ooh, how cool. We actually found another shell bell. That's a great held item to give to one of my Pokemon, so that is a great find. Alright, I believe that was everything at those ruins. I have enough sherds here to make a pot, so let's go ahead and make one. I want to go put this pot in the library. This build took a long time to make, and I'm really proud of it. It's not perfect yet, nor is it done, but this is about as much progress as I'm going to be able to make in this episode. I still have to get tons of villagers and get tons of decorative blocks because I have plans for hanging things from the ceiling and decorating the outside of the building too. But for now, let's find a good spot for this. I'm thinking it can go right there. And if you look at the sides, there are these super cool markings that come from all sorts of different Pokemon games. These ones on the sides are actually from the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow was the first generation. You also see them in Fire Red and Leaf Green. These are little statues you can find in the mansions in those original games. And for those of you who are newer Pokemon fans, you might recognize this as Cleavor from Legends Arceus. That's super cool that is referenced. I also believe we can get a Cleavor if we ever catch a Scyther. This will be really nice to decorate the library with some of these pots. I feel like that's very appropriate. Just one more level. Good job, Pidgeotto. Alright, we finally got it to level 36. That took a lot of effort. We have a Pidgeotto. It's now level 36 and it's ready to evolve, which means we will actually get a Pidgeot. The episode that we had our capture quest to get one. I know I caught a Pidgeotto, and I usually catch the evolution lines as necessary, but this is the first time I really wanted to actually evolve it and get it, and it's because I want to show you something awesome. So we'll just come here, click evolve, and enjoy the show. And now we have ourselves a Pidgeot. And we go into our menu, you'll notice Pidgeot has the ride Pokemon icon, which means if we right click, we can ride our Pidgeot. And the best part is, we can fly on our Pidgeot. This is awesome. Wow, this thing is so graceful. We can get a bird's eye view, quite literally, of our base from the sky. And look at the beautiful flying animation. This is incredible. This will make it so much easier to get up and down doing taller builds just like this one. And I'm not actually sure, but I believe I can place blocks while I'm on top here. Might be a little awkward with Pidgeot's head in the way, but yeah. Takes a very long time to break blocks while in flight. That's okay. And let's see how fast you are. Yeah, look at this. We can sprint in the sky, go really fast. This will be a much easier way to travel than a horse. However, our horse is still a lot faster than this, so unless I figure out a way to be able to increase how fast we can actually fly, Titan's actually still a really good transportation option. In this video, we were able to build a library, build a Fletcher hut, which I might do some more stuff to later, and we were able to catch a Pidgeotto and evolve it into a beautiful, majestic Pidgeot that we are currently flying in the sky. This is awesome. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and a subscribe to my channel. I'm hoping that I can provide you with content you guys really enjoy about Minecraft, about Pokemon, and any other fun games that might be coming out in the future. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, farewell. Mining blocks in Minecraft is really fun. I like mining cause it's not dumb. I'm getting blocks to make a new build. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be chill. Yeah, Minecraft. Mining blocks in Minecraft. Mining blocks in Minecraft. Mining blocks in Minecraft.